This is just a quick video about a change I've made to my retro hi-fi setup. Until recently, to play vinyl, I was using this turntable. This is a Project RPM 1.3 Genie. It's a modern turntable. You can buy these in the shops at the moment. Very nice looking deck, good quality sound, but over time I've fallen out of love with it. The main reason is to do with this belt mechanism. Modern turntables tend to have things like this where you just move the belt to adjust the speed of the turntable. This is something the missus had a bit of a problem with, and when she tried to change between 33 and 45, she'd find the belt would fall off, and then she tried to get it back on, which I admit is very tricky, or at least I find it so anyway. So I'd come home and I'd find the belt on top of the machine, and she'd say the flipping belt's fallen off the turntable again. And I'll admit I was getting a bit fed up as well, because most modern records only have a few tracks on each side, so it's not long after you've sat down that you have to get back up again and switch off a manual turntable like this one. I was also getting a bit fed up with the mechanism on it. It seemed very flimsy. Things adjusted themselves when I didn't want them to. So I thought I'll look online for a fully automatic turntable. And guess what? There aren't any. Well, there are hardly any. I mean, you've got at one end, you've got these Crosley turntables, these plasticky mechanisms. They're kind of novelty items. They're fun, but they're not exactly hi-fi. And then at the other end, the best thing I can find is this Denon turntable, this DP300F. Very nice looking turntable, but not exactly retro, the kind of thing I'm looking for. Which turned me, of course, to eBay again as usual. So I imported this turntable and I made up with it. I mean, one thing when you order things from eBay like this, they can turn up broken. I've had things like this happen before. I have a broken reel-to-reel in the loft that just got dropped by some lunatic somewhere. This arrived perfectly intact and it functions exactly how it should do. The only thing that's missing is the dust cover, but I can live with that, I suppose, just a bit more dusting. The idea with a fully automatic turntable, you put your record on, you press the start button, the stylus moves up, moves across nice and smoothly and drops down on it. I mean, you've seen these things before, and you might be surprised to find that they're hard to get hold of nowadays, because this is what I grew up with. But nowadays everything's all about belts and trying to look all cool and modern and things, and there should be room in the market for something like this so that you can choose one of those turntables, but you can also get a decent fully automatic one like this. If you want to move to a particular track, press the button, the needle, or the stylus I should say, lifts up, and if you fall asleep or whatever, it gets to the middle of the record, and of course it moves back to the beginning, gently puts itself down. Look at the mechanism on that, it's beautiful how it moves, and switches off. Just like things used to do in the 70s. Across the front here you got switches so you can adjust the size of the record or the speed. So if the missus decides to put on her Frozen soundtrack, which strangely enough is in 45, even though some of the other soundtracks she's got the other picture discs like Lion King and stuff are like 33s. But anyway, enough of that. So she has to put that into 45, which was probably a bit of the problem with the other one, messing around with that belt. I'll come in, I'll switch that off straight away, of course, put on one of my records, and if I've got a 45 like this with a smaller size, just adjust that on the front, press the start button, goes into the right place. Those things last for about 2.5 minutes. So if I'm out of the room or if I fall asleep or whatever, which should be pretty good in 2.5 minutes, then it just turns itself off, so you're not leaving that needle spinning around on the centre of the record. Now apparently the Sansui XR-Q7 is a particularly good direct drive turntable. Now I wanted a high-end turntable from the period, one that looked good, but the specs on this apparently are outstanding. And when you read some of the comments about it, it seems to be an amazing turntable. I've seen chaps say that you can't get anything of this quality for less than about $5,000 nowadays. Now, I don't know about that, but I do know that this is a really beautiful looking turntable, and it sounds great as well, of course. And it's in keeping with the rest of my equipment. And talking of which, I've also made a bit of a score and picked up this. This is a Pioneer CTF 1250 cassette deck, and maybe I'll make a video about that someday as well. But for the moment, as always, thanks for watching.